To the video. My name is Hannah with Code for Layla, and today I'll be going over a Python project that has for loops and randomization. So to start out, I'll just go through the concept of for loops and of randomization. So the best way to explain a for loop is if you have a box of something. Well, since we're going to be using our for loop for counting, you can imagine it as a box of something with different things in them, and then you're starting the beginning count at 0. In your for loop, we'll say that for all the items in this box, we're going to add 1 to the final count because the purpose of our for loop is to count the items in the box. So we'll take 1 out, and then we're going to move through that for loop and then add 1 to the final count. So we'll make a tally here, and then we'll pull another 1 out, and that will put us through the for loop again, and then add another to the final count, and then another, and then the last one. So we went through this for loop 4 times, which added up all of these, and it would make our final count as 4. So this in code would be for loop, and then we would initialize our count at 0, and then we can put any number of items in our boxes we'd like. So our box number, and let's just leave it at 4 to stay consistent, equals 4. And the for loop structure would be for I in box count equals count plus 1. Oh, I needed to make that in the range. So what this does is for every item in the box, it's going to add 1 to the count, and then at the end we will print final count, what the count is at the last part. And let's go ahead and run that, and our number down here is 4. And of course that works for however many of something you put in the box. So if we add 10, then it'll be 10 down there. And then the next concept that we'll be working with is randomization. So let's do rand. And with this, we're going to need to import the random module since we'll be pulling concepts from there. And that would be so we're just trying to generate a random number. So let's say that the number equals random dot rand range, and then we can pick any range of numbers. Let's just do 1 to 100, and this random means that we're pulling from the random module, and this rand range gives us the range of 1 to 100 inclusive, and it'll just return any random number in there for us. And so let's do print. No. Okay. And then I'm just going to comment this out, that way it's not. And then our random number that was generated out of that was 67, and then if we run it again, it'll come back with 79. And then you can run that as many times as you want, and it'll always give you a random number in this range. Let's see. And so now let's move over to the project itself. It's called the Dice Roller Project. So the objective of this is a program that rolls dice for you. It needs a welcome line. It needs to ask the user for number of dice and number of sides the dice have. Make sure that there's at least one die entered in, and make sure that there's at least 2 sides of each dice. Okay. So let's see. It's the Dice Roller Project. I'm just putting a header, that way I can see some of that information when I look back on this project later. And then today is June 30th. Alright, and we have to of course import random because we're using the random module. And we'll do this entire project in a main function, so def main, and then we need to make sure that we call main at the end, so I'll just do that now. And let's see, so welcome line, so we'll just print that out. Welcome to Dice Roller. And asks user for number of dice. And we'll do that in a variable, so num dice equals input enter number of dice. Okay. And what this does is it will ask the user for the number of dice, and then make sure that that's an integer. Then next we'll do number of sides. Okay, and let's make sure that this works. Up to that point, enter number of dice, just go with 4, enter number of sides, and let's go with 6. Okay, perfect. So it works up to that point, and now we need to generate the rolls of each dice and make sure that they're randomized. So that's where a for loop comes in. So for I in num dice, and then we would need to print the result. Print, then let's go back to this. We would need we need to call the random module, and we would need a random number in the range 1 to the number of sides. Okay, so what this does is for however many number of dice that the user inputs, they're going to roll it or select a random number within the range of 1 to the number of sides. So let's go ahead and try that and see what it might look like. enter number of dice, we'll go with 5. Enter number of sides, we'll go with 6. And what did I do wrong? Range. Let's try that again. Number of dice. It is not interval. Oh, I forgot to put the range. Okay, there we go. Enter number of dice, 6. Number of sides, let's also do 6. And these are the rolls for each of the dice. And so let's run that again just to show it, and say we have 8, and then so let's run that again with higher numbers. We'll go into dice roller, enter number of dice. Let's do 12, and number of sides, let's do 15. And these are the random rolls. And then what's next? This asks to check that there's at least one die and check that there's at least 2 sides of each dice. So we'll just put if statements under here. So if num dice is less than 1, print no. We would want to say num dice equals int input try again. Number of dice must be higher, must be at least 1. And then we'll say, and then we'll prompt the user to do that again. So /n, and then enter number of dice. Okay, then we're just going to do the same thing for the number of sides. And so if the number of sides is less than 2, then we'll ask for another option entered. So let's try that again. We'll just play that. Enter number of dice. If someone puts in 0, then number of dice must be at least 1, so we'll put in another valid number, that's 3. And number of sides, let's try 1 since that's an invalid number, and then it'll ask us to try again. So we'll just say 8, and that was our roll. And that's the end of this video, so thank you for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe. New videos are out every Thursday.